Hello everyone, it's Marino here. Before this video starts, I want to thank all people who showed a huge support for the first part of our Sentry, which were 3D models, and some people even came to this channel, which is awesome. Thank you all for that. Having said that, let's go ahead and begin. Instead of dividing this project into several parts as I initially planned, I'll be making a final one instead where I'll show all the remainings. Previously we showed 3D models and how they were made, now we'll be looking into electronics and finalizing the Sentry. First things first, we'll be looking at the gun barrel of our Sentry. As you can see, the head is split and divided into several parts, so we have easier time while working with it. Some of the parts I needed to reprint a couple of times because they were either too short, too small or too wide. For the motor, we will use SG90 micro servo that fits quite well into our Sentry head. Servo motors in general allow us to set an exact angle and a position, which is what we want. In addition to the default white servo handlers, I took a previously failed print which will serve as an extension arm and allow us to push the barrel further. One of the first things that I did was to create a cardboard cylinder. After creating that, I've put it through the barrel, connected it to the rubber bands and those to the extension arm, which is connected to the servo. This is the result of that. So far so good. Now we need to position it well. I glued the motor to the top from the inside of the Sentry and added the plastic rails where we will put our cylinder to keep everything positioned well and straight. Without those, the gun barrel would move up and down and to the sides, which is something we don't want. After putting it all together and a lot of glue, our gun barrel is now working. Okay, so this is done. Inside the gun barrel, we will put 20mm LED that will turn on and off based on the position of the barrel. This will create a nice little touch, which also signifies Sentry shoots. This LED accepts 5.6 voltage and 20 milliamps, so we don't need any resistors. Another LED we will use is 5mm LED with 100 ohm resistor, so it won't burn out due to high voltage. This one will represent the color of the team, which is red. We see that LED is not burning and the one inside is on as well. In order to scan environment, we gotta make the Sentry to look around. We will use MG996R servo that is capable of handling more weight as opposed to micro servos. This was honestly the hardest part of all, mainly because all other components rely on the neck. The biggest issue was with stability. I could not get this part working for a long time. Constant balancing and repairing of the motor was a regular thing I had to do. At the end, I duct taped it from the bottom to the plastic rod, and on the top I screwed the part that connects the motor with the head, so only second half of the Sentry from the bottom could move while the bottom, which are legs, can remain stable. I've had some issues where the inside of the Sentry started to crash more and more, so I opened it and tried to put a little oil inside, but it did not help. Inside servo was completely damaged and I had to buy a new one. After replacing that, I tried to put the remaining 3D parts on the top to see how it moves. Finally, we've been able to make some progress. There is some basic movement of the Sentry, as you can see. MG996. It looked scary, I gotta admit. Honestly, during this project, the duct tape was my best friend. We want our Sentry to make some noise. Initially, I wanted to put the whole speaker inside and include some real sounds from the game. So first time we actually hear some music that makes sense. However, it turned out to be much more complicated than I initially thought. First, I had issues finding a good speaker, then I found out that I need SD card reader. I got all of that and eventually figured some stuff out, but there were still some issues with particular TF2 sounds, and the speaker itself did not fit into the head, so I decided to include piezo speaker only. Sentry does not need super complex sound system, since all we need is a detection sound and the sound of the shooting. So I did that with the tone function and a piezo speaker. This part I wanted to add mainly because of the testing and debugging. It's much easier to have a controller while testing the rotation of the neck or shooting of the gun barrel instead of rewriting the code each time. And hey, it's another functionality that improves our project, so why the hell not? Yep, so there is a little light coming from it as well. One of the main functions of our Sentry needs to be to detect objects. For that I use ultrasonic sensor HCSR04. In simple terms, it shoots sound waves in front of itself and waits for the sound wave to bounce back from the object. Considering the time travel and the speed of the sound, you can calculate the distance. It is capable of registering objects up to 5 meters, but our Sentry lives in a very limited space, which is my room, so I've set the detection to be 50 centimeters, which will trigger the shooting action. Anytime this distance detector detects a movement, the Sentry will of course shoot. It will blink with the LED and the gun barrel will move from front to back. Since we have all the parts working on their own, we can now proceed to combine them and build the whole thing.
Perfect.
But after a lot of work, one day I woke up and saw this. To the right, to the other side. This might not be what I initially imagined. After all, building a Sentry on your own with almost zero previous knowledge is not an easy task. I started working on this over a year ago. A year is a long time, and there were days, weeks, and in total a few months where I did nothing. I'm sure that someone with more work ethic, knowledge could do better and done it in a few weeks. I could make it totally wireless using batteries. I could buy a better printer and reprint the parts a couple of times to make them look better. You can always do more in a project. If it's a website, song, Sentry, whatever it is, you can always do more. But after all, I've already spent hundreds of hours on this. There were struggles. Some parts, for example the gun barrel or the neck rotation, I had to redo like 10 times because of the issues. But you know, as they say, art is never finished, only abandoned. I am really happy with where it is now, and I learned a ton in the process, and that is what is most important to me. Thanks for being here and watching this video till the end. Now that I finished the Sentry, I want to do more and more cool stuff. I'm currently deciding between 3 ideas that I've had. It will be something either from Minecraft, Anime Konosuba or CSGO. Let me know down in the comments below what you think would be best and what do you think about the Sentry. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and that's it. Bye bye. Rem wants to fight you, so look out. No. Okay, Sentry doesn't want to shoot the Rem. That's good. Okay. Sentry passed. Shoot my hand.